But let's move to a big story emanating from New York. One of the co-hosts from Maggie and Moose, or Moose and Maggie from WFAN, I think his name is Mark Malusis, has reported that the Browns and the Minnesota Vikings are in discussions to trade OBJ to Minnesota. All right, the report has been shot down or somewhat diminished by other reporters, I think, including Mary Kay Abbott, who's a longtime Browns beat reporter. But the question we want to ask here is, we think the Browns want to move on from OBJ? Marcellus, what say you?
Absolutely not. I don't think that if you're the new coach, Kevin Stefanski, you come into the Cleveland situation and you look at a talent like OBJ and the first thought is to get rid of him. I think you try to figure out how to effectively use him, how to get the most out of him. And if there are any issues that are beyond reputation, that are actual issues, you try to work them out. You remember that if you're coming from a new situation, all you've experienced is what you've heard. But now, if you're Kevin, you come into this situation, you say, you know what, I want to see this experience. I'm not just going to buy into what others are telling me because I need to know what materializes from this interaction of being with Odell Beckham Jr. We know what he's going to do on the field. Even last year, productive year, not by his standards, but playing injured. And there are bigger problems on this roster if you want to look at production, who is suffering, who's not doing the best things out there for this ball club. Odell does not come to the front of that line. So, no, I didn't buy this report when it first occurred, and I'm glad some credible people have gone out there and have now said that they don't believe it as well.
Yeah, I don't buy this report because, let's be honest, Odell Beckham Jr. is the Browns' most talented player, particularly on offense. He is the one that makes it go. And I know people will talk about Nick Chubb, and I know Jarvis Landry is there, but make no mistake, the guy that defensive coordinators are staying up at night worrying about defending is Odell Beckham Jr. Kevin Stefanski would make a grave mistake if he comes in there and tries to remove Odell Beckham Jr. without at least giving it a chance. When you have a talented player like this, a guy who has 1,000-yard seasons and every season that he's been fully healthy, I don't know why you remove it. I know there's a clickbait element to Odell Beckham Jr., and I know he is a lot to deal with when it comes to his persona and the way that he acts. However, you don't dismiss talent without fully exhausting it. The Browns still have to exhaust the Odell Beckham Jr. experience.
Disagree with both of you all. I think y'all have misinterpreted the story. Remember, it's coming out of New York. That's OBJ land. That's where he spent most of his time. So you all may be right. Maybe the Browns don't want to move on from OBJ, but maybe OBJ has made it clear to the Browns he'd like to move on from them. How do you accomplish that? The Vikings lose Stephon Diggs. The Browns' new head coach just left the Vikings situation. Perhaps OBJ is the driving force for the leak story and for the interest the Browns may have in moving on from him. If I'm the Browns or if I'm anybody looking at this situation, OBJ to me needs to be with an established veteran quarterback, a Kirk Cousins, rather than a young guy who has struggled and has had difficulty managing his with Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., both tugging at him. I could see OBJ, and he's been very quiet this offseason, quietly trying to get his way out of Cleveland and perhaps giving the Browns a reason to try to want to move him. By putting this story out there, to me, that's going to light up phone lines all over the NFL. OBJ's available. There's a chance they would consider trading. So now perhaps you increase what the Vikings are offering, or you bring other teams into that equation, the Los Angeles Rams or whomever else that thinks maybe they're a receiver away from fixing their quarterback problems. But I can see the Browns thinking OBJ with an inexperienced quarterback trying to get his legs, maybe a better fit for OBJ is with someone like Kirk Cousins, an established quarterback. Marcellus?
Yeah. I get it. That's the fix. So Stephon Diggs wasn't happy with Kirk Cousins, but Odell will be. Like, that's the fix. That makes no sense. Whitlock, I mean, think about this, man. This story
Kirk Cousins not better than Baker?
New York. Oh, he is better than Baker, but he ain't good enough to try to leave and abort where you are. It could be looked at as a lateral move for some because we don't know the upside of Baker Mayfield. We know what Kirk Cousins is. It's still higher than Baker right now, but it could be something that is attained by Baker if he figures this thing on out. So here's my thing. If it comes out of New York, it sounds like it is someone who didn't cleanse their palate, someone who's still using reputation against Odell and saying, you know what? This is the same old Odell. What? You just said that he's been quiet this offseason. Odell and I have talked a lot this offseason. Everyone's been quiet because, one, we're all social distancing, but more than that, he's not trying to force himself out of that situation. The most important thing to Odell right now is getting healthy, playing healthy, putting that product back on the field that he knows he can do in terms of being healthy and performing. Not trying to run out of Cleveland to land in Minnesota and may go backwards if you talk about the potential of the Browns this year. They're tremendous offseason and acquisitions versus going to Minnesota. A good team, but who knows how this is going to shake out. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I still continue to have a tough time believing. And I think from Odell's standpoint, I think Odell clearly understands where he is right now. If Odell wants another chunky payday, he knows that he has to go about his business and be a guy that can command some interest from other teams. The way that he can do that is through his performance on the field. He has to put down a couple of big-time seasons so he can get into that $20+ million territory, which is where he probably desires to be. And so I think what we're going to see, at least for a year, we're going to see Odell Beckham Jr. on his best behavior. And I'm not saying that he's not been a model citizen, but I think he's going to be very quiet. I think he is going to let his play do his talking, so then he can go back to the table and get some more Bitcoin.
Listen, I want to be crystal clear on this. I don't even think if OBJ was trying to get to Minnesota or out of Cleveland, I don't see that remotely as a negative thing, a negative knock on OBJ. It may be a level of self-awareness and clarity and maturity like, wow, I got this young quarterback that's struggling. We don't know what he is. Me and Jarvis may be too much for him to handle. I've got a rookie head coach. Can I get somewhere in a more stable environment, proven coach, proven quarterback? I think that would be a mature thing. And by being quiet, because again, there's ways to make noise. You got social media. You can go out and work out with Antonio Brown. You can go out and work out with Dez Bryant. You can go throw a party at your house and let TMZ report that you're not socially distancing. Odell Beckham Jr. knows how to get attention. He is purposely not getting attention. Real bad boys move in silent. This would be a mature move in my view if OBJ was looking to get somewhere with a proven veteran coach and a more proven quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't knock OBJ at all for that kind of hustle.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.